All right, the experiment continues, everybody. Welcome. I'm Howard Glassman from the Humble and Fred Show. Pleased to be here. Thanks for having us back, or at least me back, to hang out with Ed. Ed, what a privilege to work with you, sir. Thank you for helping me out. Yeah. Ed Milewski. Did you know it was Ed Milewski?
I got a newfound respect for you because I found out you're a scratch golfer.
Well,
you know, and I play a lot of golf, but I've never gotten below 11 handicap. So,
well, that's very good as well.
It's not bad.
I thought you were going to say you had a newfound respect for me because you taught me so much yesterday. I really enjoyed it. I got to tell you, Midas Letter people that were commenting, and I listen. I won't pretend to know what I don't know. I mean, as an amateur, I've invested with advisors and things, but I learned so much from Ed yesterday, and I think that's important to recognize that he's the expert. I'm just going to be here trying not to sweat too much. I had a couple of notes from my appearance yesterday. My girlfriend, very subtly, she said, "Hey, do you want me to?" She said, "Do you want me to help you with your styling?" And I said, "I didn't know I had a style." She didn't really. Two things she said. She said, "I think we could do something better with your shirt." You know what women are like. Very subtle. She said, I think you need to change your shirt. And she didn't like my glasses. Now, here's the thing.
I liked your glasses.
I know. By the way, welcome to the Midas Letter RAW. She said to me, maybe we can find you some glasses. I said, Ed, who knows a lot of stuff. I said, Ed actually commented on my frames. And you were surprised. I got these bad boys, these camouflage. I got these at 7-Eleven.
Yeah. They're respectable. I like them.
Thank you, brother. Another thing I noticed being downtown, I don't know if you saw this when you came out of the parking, they've got all these signs that say, caution, falling ice from above.
Yes.
But as soon as you see that sign, what do? You look up, Ed.
I don't.
You look up.
I walk quickly.
No. All I did was look up, waiting for a giant chunk to fall in my eye. Anyway, just thought I'd bring you up to date with what's going on with me and Ed. Humble and Ed are back again, and here's what's happening. Are we going to do what's happening on the show today? Are we starting with that? All right. A couple minutes from now, we'll get to Ricky Gerwitz with some news. A regular on the Midas Letter and a favorite, Ben Smith, will be here bringing some acumen and some interesting information about what's happening. Marcio Fonseca of Goldplay Explorations, not the band, although, I enjoy their music. You can also post your questions in the comment section. Anthony Dutton of Cannex Capital will be with us. And then the market will close. We'll get Ed to throw up some charts, and we'll all figure out what this ride was all about today. And Don Morrison of DNA Genetics will be with us as well. I'm just curious. So I'm on YouTube, and where would I see this? How come I'm not seeing this? All right, whatever. If you're watching us, we always appreciate your comments. Ed will answer anything that's for real. You mentioned to me as we sat down a few moments ago, you said, talk to me about the markets because they're not, it's not the best day.
We've been talking about the S&P, and it's had a meteoric rise from Labor Day. Not Labor Day, Christmas. That wasn't.
You just the whole from basically September to December. You're dust.
No, forget that. I had no idea.
So, but Labor Day or Christmas, a lot of people get those mixed up.
We're gonna go right to the S&P chart just for one chart.
Okay, let's throw up a chart before we get to Ricky and. Before we get to Ricky in the news, I'm not sure Ed's computer is
I got it
chart ready.
Here we go.
Here we go. Let's see that chart.
Okay, here we go. So here we got a chart. Let's take a look at this quickly. And I said yesterday, there's a line there.
Yeah, apparently I'm getting news that your computer's not on the GFN network.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
That means the NDI isn't working.
The NDI isn't working.
Okay, is that right?
I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's figure out Ed's computer.
Let's listen to the news.
We'll go to the news first. This thing is, listen, we're up and running. What else are we going to do? The show is live. In the meantime, while we get Ed's computer figured out, here's Ricky Gerwitz with the news.
Here are the headlines moving markets today. Namaste Technologies Inc. confirmed that PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP will no longer be acting as the company's auditor. The company's annual financial statements are due to be filed by March 31st, 2019, but they believe it is unlikely that it will be able to meet the filing deadline. Meanwhile, the company announced today that it has entered into a share purchase agreement to acquire 49% of the issued and outstanding shares of Calgary, Alberta-based Chocolate Inc. for $1.5 million in cash consideration. Chocolate is a chocolate manufacturer with existing sales through its online e-commerce site and through a network of distributors across Canada. Tilray Inc. announced that its wholly owned subsidiary, Tilray Portugal Unipisol LDA, has completed a successful harvest of medical cannabis at the company's European Union campus in Portugal. Tilray's EU campus in Portugal is a production facility that includes indoor, outdoor, and greenhouse cultivation sites, as well as research labs, processing, packaging, and distribution sites for medical cannabis and cannabinoid-derived medical products. Tilray has invested approximately 20 million euros in the facility, which totals nearly 250,000 square feet, with additional room to expand. CB2 Insights has commenced trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol CBII. CB2 Insights wants to mainstream medical cannabis into traditional healthcare by gathering data and creating objective, real-world evidence at the point of care through software and service brands. Cresco Labs Inc. announced that its shares have been approved to be quoted on the over-the-counter market and will trade under the symbol VRLBF effective immediately. Cresco has applied to trade its shares on the OTCQX market, the top tier of the three markets for the over-the-counter trading of stock. Cannabis One Holdings Inc. has signed a licensing deal with Cheech's private stash brand. Through its wholly owned U.S. subsidiary, Bertram Capital Finance Inc., Cannabis One has agreed to a 3-year multi-state territorial licensing and royalty agreement for the exclusive rights to produce, market, and distribute a variety of specific cannabis products under the Cheech's private stash brand. CPS is represented by GLE Brands Inc. and film star Cheech Marin of the legendary comedy duo Cheech and Chong TM. And the CEO of Cannabis One Holdings will be a guest later on in the show. Fire & Flower Holdings Corp. announced an agreement with Lift & Co. This agreement, which takes effect on April 1st, 2019, brings together Fire & Flower's education-focused retail expertise with Lift & Co.'s extensive database of product reviews and partner benefits. Lift & Co. members will be able to share their Fire & Flower cannabis experiences in both product and business reviews, which earn Lift points that may be redeemed within the Lift & Co. platform for gift cards, exclusive promotions, and invite-only industry events. High Hampton Holdings Corp. announced that Dieter McPherson, the current Senior Vice President of Operations at Aurora Cannabis Inc., has been appointed as an independent member to its board of directors. Village Farms International is providing a further update regarding the recent halt in trading of its common shares on the NASDAQ stock market. NASDAQ recently advised Village Farms that its common shares were not part of the Depository Trust Clearing Company DRS-DWAC system, which is a mandatory requirement for listing on NASDAQ. Village Farms says they have taken the appropriate steps to correct this situation. It is the company's expectations that its shares will resume trading on the NASDAQ upon approval of its DTC eligibility application. Village Farms common shares continue to trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol VFF. And that's your news for today.
All right, we're up and running. It's the Midas Letter for this Wednesday. Later on, we're going to unpack. I apologize for saying that. We're going to look at some of the bigger stories. We'll reflect a little bit on what Ricky's talking about. As I mentioned, we've got a bunch of great guests, but we were going to get Ed's take, because one of the things that you said we should talk about right off the top is what's going on in the markets right now.
Yeah. So I got the S&P chart here, and I think we should take a look at it. There we go. And look, you know, we start to see red candles in succession. Red candles are negative candles. Green candles are good candles.
Yeah, like red and green, the colors of Labor Day.
So green means go, red means stop.
That's right.
And so look, we've had this crazy drop in December. This was one of the most violent drops.
And even if you're not a day-to-day investor like a lot of the Midas Letter people, you know that your portfolio, if you got your statements, everyone's went down in December, and then we got a little bit of a rise in the early part of the year. We got a great rise. We've had this. We've had basically this. Now I want to make a point again, and I've been saying this. We're starting to deviate from that channel. That channel was very strong, and now look, we're starting to go sideways a bit. If you look at the last week or so, 8 days, 10 days, really hasn't gone anywhere. Right.
And this is the sort of bellwether index. Everybody's watching this. That's anybody. The biggest money in the world is in this index.
Sure. So keep this chart for a second, because I'm just curious. When did you see, like, as I opened, we all took a crap kicking or whatever in December. The fall was horrible, as it often is. But when do you see this? When did it start to do you think it was leveling off, or it was starting to lose some of its enthusiasm?
Well, when you start to hear people talk that we've had one of the biggest bounces in history. Like when people start saying things that are statistically unique, like 100-year floods. You got a 100-year flood one year, you're not going to get it the next year.
Well, that's typically you get it every 100 years. Yeah.
There you go. This bounce was so meteoric and so parabolic. I was just looking for signs to tell me the thing was starting to lose energy.
Okay.
And so we started to see energy being lost about 10 days ago. Now I'm not saying I was right, I kept saying I may be wrong, but it's looking like it's losing energy, and today we're getting a nice correction.
So with your experience, like when you're looking at those charts, and somebody who has been in this game as long as you have, does this tell you to start to pull some of your money out?
You know what, look at I
have a second question. Are you looking to pull out? Or are you also looking to see what's driving the leveling off of this market?
Well, there's been some bad news in the world. Like somebody said the other day that the Canadian economy, and again, this is the S&P 500, which is U.S., but the Canadian economy is slowed right down. Like there's been a lot of statistics. Price of oil can't really get going. I'm not really a fundamentalist as much as I'm looking at charts, because the charts are telling me what I need to know. Like right now, I'd say if I've got a lot of money in here and I've rode this thing from October, which it looked brutal, and now I'm up 10, 15, 20%, why not take some money off the table? Why not take that gain off the table?
So answer my second question is there something that you're seeing particularly, because I have a question about pot stocks in particular.
Sure.
What's driving this sort of leveling off? Is there something you can see, or is it just the whole market has a bit of ennui?
Well,
do you like that word, ennui? You know what it means? A little bit of malaise, a little bit of
boredom,
loginess. It's a little bit sluggish. It's not feeling great.
Yeah, no.
By the way, thank you for giving me your cold. I appreciate that.
ENNUI,
ennui.
I get it.
So do you feel like there's some ennui in the market?
So here's what I would say. So if we look back,
that's going back to this chart.
I'm going back to. I'm going to go to a 6-month chart now.
Okay, I like that.
Same indicator, but look at what happened here.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
Just a minute. So now we got the chart back up. We got a 6-month chart. That was the all-time top right there. That was in October.
And that's when it peaked.
And then, so what made it do this?
Well, guys, put the chart back up for me if you wouldn't mind.
So what made it do that? So if that happened in October, have things gotten so much better that we have to disregard that?
Right.
So if that can happen, can it happen again?
Okay.
And we had this great big bounce fast. Usually the biggest bounces occur in down markets, believe it or not.
Bounces up, bounces down.
Bounces up occur in a general downward trend.
Okay, yesterday a buddy of mine who is, he's a financial prognosticator, a famous radio dude named Lou Skeezes, sends me a note. Lou's brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, I know that.
Do you know Lou?
Yeah, I know the name.
Guy's amazing. So Lou sends me this note, and it's basically, the headline is, at the close yesterday, the jump in marijuana stocks is what pushed the TSX higher.
Yeah.
So my question, after you showed me the chart about the leveling off of this sort of heating up of the market post Labor Day or Christmas, whatever you call it, are the fundamentals of the pot stocks still, as he said yesterday, as they said in the Globe and Mail, pushing the TSX higher? Is that going to level off?
Well, I suspect that if this thing rolls over a bit and starts to head south a bit, that's going to suck the marijuana stocks. It's going to change their direction as well.
Okay.
That's my contention. I could be wrong.
Well, but as you've explained to me, it's all, there are fundamentals, there are things you can look at, but there's also there's just emotion.
Look, fear and greed. I mean, fear is always greatest at the bottom.
All right.
And greed is always greatest at the top.
All right. Well, listen. I'm gonna ask more questions.
Yeah.
Going to be here for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Guys, just put the script down a little bit on the prompter so I can get it all. And I just believe it's joining us via Skype is Midas. Another way.
There's Ben.
Midas lead financial writer Ben Smith. Hey Ben. How are you?
How you doing, guys?
Ben, I'm Howard, by the way. I don't know if you've been watching. I'm just here helping. I'm filling in. I'm hanging out with Ed. Ed knows what he's doing. And I've been told that you're not only the nicest person, but you really know what you're doing, too.
Well, I hope so. We'd have a problem if the lead financial writer doesn't know what he's talking about. So, I try to contribute the best I can. It's working out pretty well.
All right, well, I know that Ed's got some questions. I was just talking about marijuana stocks, and yesterday's close, they were said to push the TSX higher. Ed was just explaining that we've had a bit of a run in the market after Christmas. Where do you see marijuana stocks now that things, according to Ed, may be leveling off?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Ed here as well.
For some reason, I can't hear Ben. I can't hear Ben.
Of course, we had a big rally in the market. The benchmark ETF of the sector, the Horizons Medical Life Sciences ETF, was trading around $14 Canadian sometime in late or mid to late December. And of course, we've had a monster rally off that point, and it is now around $22.50. And that's an increase of 60–70%. So we've had a very, very big rally off the bottom. And yesterday we actually broke the February highs in HMMJ, but it wasn't done on very convincing volume, and we've fallen back through that level today. So that doesn't say necessarily that the rally's over, but it is one strike against it. It is one sort of benchmark that you can point that maybe exhaustion is taking place here. And, you could see it in some of the price action today. We've had a big sell-off in some of the tier one names. I think it's too early to make a call yet, but, along with the broad market rally as well, NYSE, NASDAQ, S&P, it is looking a little toppy to me.
Well, it's interesting. I want to ask about a couple of companies in particular in a second. But having said what you just said, a lot of people who are watching this are wanting to know, again, I know you can't give advice, but is it too late, in your opinion, to pop into the market, or should we just sort of ride out this, cooling off period?
Yeah, sure. Well, it really depends what your investing thesis is. First of all, if you're more geared towards short-term momentum trading, then there's always opportunities to get into the market at different places, pending different news cycles and different stocks. If you're more long-term oriented, I don't know if I would feel completely comfortable getting in here. I think I'd want to see a little bit of pullback now that the broad market has run so much, now that the marijuana sector has run so much. So you really have to know what your timelines are, more short, long term, and you also have to know what stocks you play. If you're just focused on tier one Canadian large cap marijuana stocks, then I think it is probably looking a little bit toppy here, irrespective of Aurora Cannabis's big move yesterday. But if you're in short-term names, some of the juniors out there, they can still run even if the broad market is down. So you really have to know what you're playing.
All right, well, you brought up Aurora Cannabis. Its stock was moving very heavily yesterday. They got some U.S. investment bank coverage. So you obviously, you think that's still a good deal, or is it time to just sort of wait and look and see? And that really wasn't. By the way, I know, Ben, that really wasn't a question. I just was saying some things that were in front of me. So what do you think about, what was the deal? What's the net of Aurora Cannabis and that heavy activity yesterday?
Well, that was really good news, Howard, really good news. And the reason being, I don't know if you recall or if you're following space in January, but Piper Jaffray, right when the market was sort of coming out of the abyss from the November, December sell-off, Aurora Cannabis, Canopy Growth got upgraded, or I think to outperform, and a higher price target in the $40 price target, I believe, by Piper Jaffray. And that's sent basically the stock in orbit. It took off like a rocket, so much so that 2 weeks later, after they made the original call, Piper Jaffray raised their price target again by another 50%, and that sent Canopy Growth up, another double-digit percentage points again. So the fact that this was big news for Aurora Cannabis, because this was the first U.S. investment bank coverage in the name. unlike Canopy Growth, who had been covered by Cowen. Tilray had been covered by Cowen, but Aurora Cannabis had no investment bank coverage. So now, it signals that some institutional investors could be coming on board. Of course, Cowen made Aurora Cannabis their top pick in the space. So it's big news. It means it's getting institutional U.S. exposure, and it's the first time it happened, and it's a big deal for the stock.
All right. Speaking of big deals, here's Ed with an actual question from somebody who knows what they're doing.
Hey Ben, how you doing?
Good, Ed. How are you?
Good, good. So look, yesterday the HMMJ as an indicator was up nicely, and the S&P was down just a little bit. Today, the S&P is picking up some steam to the downside, and we've given up most of the gains we had in the HMMJ. So do you think we're correlating here? If the S&P starts to roll over a bit, do you think the marijuana stocks? I mean, look, we had lots of good action yesterday in the marijuana sector. Today, not so good.
Yeah, I do. Just because of the depth of the move of the broad markets to the upside. I mean, we're looking at close to 20% off the December lows itself as well, along with the cannabis sector. So I would say if we're looking at sort of a grindy move lower for a few weeks and it doesn't really make a decisive action, the marijuana space, cannabis stocks could tread water conceivably. They may not go down all that much. But I have a feeling that, with the softening economic data out there, yesterday's industrial production numbers, which signal actually a contraction in U.S. industrial production, and bad GDP numbers in Germany, Canada, you name it. It's quite obvious that the economic data is softening, and the market is really being held up by central bank inflows and job owning on trade. So it's not really a healthy structure right now. I think cannabis stocks could be at risk for a pullback, say to 18 or 19 on HMMJ if we get a serious broad market sell-off here, for sure.
Ben, you just sort of led into my next follow-up question. The news, when you just listen to the news, the economic news out of Europe, Canada, and now the U.S. there seems to be some clouds out there, economic clouds. So, I mean, I'm a little amazed that the market's rallied as much as it has when you consider what some of the pundits are saying about the economy.
Yeah, I've seen this. I've been around for a while, and I've seen the same things happen before. I mean, there's a lag effect happening here. I don't know if you're following the situation in China, but they dumped in, basically they added $4 trillion of liquidity a couple weeks ago in one of the biggest liquidity adds ever. And of course, recently we've seen the Federal Reserve, they announced that they're going to stop the quantitative tightening very soon, and that's with their balance sheet only at $4 trillion. Now, if you recall, a couple years ago or 18 months ago, they were signaling that they wanted to draw down the balance sheet to about 2.5 trillion from the 800 billion that it was previously before the U.S. housing crisis. So it's quite obvious that that they're doing this because the economy can't really withstand more money draining out of the system, more liquidity draining out of the system. So they're trying to stop that. So yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that the economic data is softening, and but it's being held up by a lot of job owning by Trump and a lot of liquidity add, and stopping the quantitative tightening, which is imminent, and of course the rates, which they have stopped going up as well.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Trump, because in the news today they were talking about Trump meeting some of his projections, but falling short in terms of Trump promised to not add any debt, and yet they're now adding some debt for some short-term gain. Let's talk about a company that Midas Letter people are familiar with, Namaste. Namaste. Let's talk to Ben about this company. Now, I understand the CEO, there was some turmoil in the company. What's your take on Namaste now as a play?
I would, quite honestly, I don't like to speak bad about the companies that we speak or speak ill of them, but I would stay away from Namaste personally, just because at least until some of their issues get cleared up.
So Namago is what you're saying.
It's not really a reflection of their balance, what they have on their balance sheet or anything like that. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay, Ben. Are we keeping you from? Is that your program?
Nope.
You have a date? Are you going on a Skype date now, Ed or Ben? Come on, buddy.
I don't think so, but someone's really trying to reach me. But
so Namaste, you're saying the turmoil is a reason to stay away from the company.
And they postpone their financials.
That's right.
They postpone their financials, and we know that's
a bad sign.
Well, I call a spade a spade.
I've been in the business 2 days. I know that's a bad sign.
Duh.
Exactly.
Hey, I got some good news for you, but I'm going to wait for a couple years to tell you.
Before we let you go, I know that we were talking about maybe some of the markets slowing down, but there's some select small caps that you had wanted to talk about that are still running. 48 North, we had them on yesterday. C21, NBUD. We'll talk a little bit about that before we let you go there, okay, Benny? And I know you're very busy, so we'll get to it.
Yeah, no, it just goes on into the narrative that I was talking about earlier, that even in the declining, even if the market sort of rolls over a little bit, it's going to make it hard for some of these small caps to run, of course. But we've seen quite a few of them, run up, even though the market's sort of been kind of treading water, edging higher a little bit. 48 North is one of them. It's made a huge move, almost a double, basically in the last month. James E. Wagner moved a little bit. It's been consolidating as well recently. And there's been a few others. Northbud is another one. They got in with a MSO down in the United States. They announced that today. So we've seen a lot of action in the junior space. It's probably been more eventful than what's happening in the tier ones, as we've seen a lot of moves that are 60, 100%, 150%. Over the course of a couple weeks. So it's been quite amazing to watch. And I think that's where the action is going to be, over the next few weeks as the market sort of consolidates.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you for indulging my my inexperience today, Ben. You were talking about what people's strategies are when it comes to investing. Mine's very simple. It's WWED. What would Ed do? And that's all I'm doing.
All right,
Ben,
thanks, guys.
nice to see you, Ben.
Nice seeing you, Ben.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon.
Very, very nice.
I'll call you. I'll call you.
Yeah, but you know what? He seems like he's got a lot of stuff going on there.
He's into the texting.
Yeah, and he's got. You notice he got a nice lamp in the picture.
Oh,
it's very sweet.
Very comfortable.
Got a sweet setup. Here we go. Here's Ed now. We'll be speaking with the CEO of Goldplay Exploration Ltd. So stand by. Goldplay Exploration Ltd. is a Canadian-based gold exploration company. The company engages in the acquisition, exploration, and development of mineral resource properties in the United States and Mexico. Goldplay Exploration owns approximately a 250 square kilometer exploration portfolio in the Rosario Mining District in Sinaloa, Mexico, and primarily holds interests in the El Jabal property. Goldplay Exploration Ltd. was founded in 2012 and trades on the TSX Venture under the ticker symbol GPLY.
And pass me this material here. So hey, everybody. We have Marcio with the CEO of Goldplay Exploration. And I'm just a little out of sorts here, but we're going to be fine here in a minute. Here, give me my notes and my glasses. Here we go. Marcio Fonseca, Goldplay Exploration, GPLY. I've met you before. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming on. And you got a great play here. I know there's a lot of potential, and it's mainly a silver play. And in Mexico, correct?
Yes, that's right. It's a gold and silver play in Mexico in the Rosario Mining District in Sinaloa. The first time we met was at the early days of the company.
Yes.
I believe March 2018 when we just went public.
Yeah.
And since then we acquired a multi-million ounce silver asset, high-grade silver open pit.
Yeah. And your background, Marcio, is you're involved in the investment business for some time.
I would say 10 years is a good time.
Yeah. And you're from? Are you from Brazil? Is that?
Was born in Brazil, but
Yeah.
I've been living overseas for many years.
Sure.
In Canada, probably now 13 years.
Okay. So what? Give us the value here. Like what? Now I've seen a lot of plays on a regular basis. This is I know you got some great numbers in terms of what's the word I'm looking for here? Recoveries. You're ranging, like we just announced on February 28th, 82 to 92% silver. So you've got a big deposit, 43,101. Maybe just talk about what you see the potential here.
Yes, as you said, we have just released a made in 43,101.
Okay.
Where we have been able to increase materially the indicated and inferred resources. To give an idea, we increased the resources from 30 million ounces of silver equivalent to 47.
So that's over 50%.
Yes, and most of that is open pit and high grade, which can be a high margin, low cost potential project, which fits really well in the silver market in the Rosario mining district in Mexico.
Now, is this to be blunt, there's some talk about some of the jurisdictions in Mexico. You don't necessarily want to be there because of a lot of drug money, etc. How is this jurisdiction?
So, to give a bit of the background, the team and myself have been working in Mexico for more than 10 years.
Okay.
So,
people know you.
No, and Mexico is not going to change, but there are good places and bad places. Particularly this region, Sinaloa, is very safe and mining friendly.
All right. And just remind viewers, how many shares of Goldplay are out right now?
So it's a very tight capital structure. We have 41 million shares outstanding.
41 million, okay.
50 fully diluted.
Okay, so you're looking at around 10 million, 11 million market cap right now. 12 million.
And important to highlight here that we have a group of really key shareholders.
Sure.
That not many junior companies at this stage would have. One of them is Sunstorm Gold. It's a $1 billion market cap company.
Right.
JDS Mining and Engineering.
Right.
Based in Vancouver, is a mining builder. They have 3.4%.
That's Stibbard, isn't it?
That's Jeff Stibbard.
Yeah. He's a big player.
Yeah.
Very big player.
His last transaction was he bought Silver Tip, which is in Northern BC, for $15 million US.
Yeah, he's a real player. There's no question.
I agree.
Okay, so silver. You're now. Tell me about your treasury. How much cash you sitting on right now?
We have close to $1.2 million.
1.2 million.
So.
And what about exploration for the next? Are you going to be doing some drilling now? Are you drilling now, or are you going to start drilling?
So what we are doing is, because we just announced the increase in the resource.
Okay.
And that resource is on 500 meters strike length.
Yes.
But the company has 3.5 or more, close to 5 kilometers of strike length mineralized trend to explore. So what we are doing now is going outside of the resource, defining new areas to expand the resource, aiming to multiply this probably by 2 times. And just as an information, very quick for you, we just put a news release about a parallel zone next to the resource, what can be open pit, potential open pit, where we intersect 56 meters at close to 200 grams per ton silver.
So that's 200 grams. So 200 grams, that's about 6-7 ounces.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Divided by 3. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's on surface.
Yeah. And how deep are you drilling? This is at surface. So let me just go over this again. So you've basically looked at 500 meters.
Yep.
And you're saying this looks like a 3.5
kilometers.
Yeah.
Of mineralized trend.
Right.
Because the 500 meters is in the center of the concession.
Okay.
So we have space to expand on both sides.
Both sides. Okay.
Yeah. There's no restriction about to continue to expand this.
Right.
And we are working as we speak.
So there's a real potential to make this much larger.
I agree.
Okay. Well, listen, is there anything you want to add?
So it's a young company. Probably next week we are celebrating 1 year old. the team altogether in 1 year has been able to accomplish a lot.
Yeah.
From going public with an exploration portfolio when we met for the first time.
Yes.
2 months after that, we acquired a multi-million-ounce asset. In less than 9 months, we were able to put a new resource together. We are moving on to do some engineering, and likely we are going to add some drill holes as well, because we got the permits for the drilling.
Very good. Very good. So we'll leave it there, and then we'll have you back in due course to give us an update. How's that?
Fantastic.
Okay. Thanks, Marcio. Thank you. Coming up, Howard will be back in the hot seat.
Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered on.
Here are the headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
and I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really...
Recreational cannabis is here. It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits.
All right. Okay.
Well,
See that? Can you see that?
Jesus.
There.
Wait,
Look at that.
They got you down low.
Well, you got me. Well, here's what happened. So there's this big scramble where I leave. Ed takes this seat. I go around, and I had another cup. I'll show you. I had this other. I had the Midas Letter cup. Now I have this cup. And Connor, I don't know what Connor. Was he sent here from the future? I don't know where he's from. Bangs into me. The cup breaks.
There you go.
I go get another cup. Seconds ago, I'm about to come back into the host chair here. By the way, it's Howard. That's Ed. Humble and Ed. Connor, same guy. Different cup. Boom. Water everywhere.
Come on.
Yeah, man.
It happened twice.
I don't know what his deal is. Hey, great. What was that all about? That was mining? What is that? Are you going to throw water on me again?
What
are you doing now?
Silver. That was
Connor. I thought we were buddies.
Silver exploration in Mexico.
Okay.
Mainly silver and gold, high grade, at surface. Yeah.
Can I ask you a stupid question?
Sure.
You asked Marcio about their financial situation, and he said something about having a million.
$1,200,000.
$1.2 million. Cash.
Right.
Excuse my ignorance.
Yeah.
Big company like that. That number surprised me.
Well, okay, so look.
What am I missing?
They're valued at $12 million. Okay, so in other words, the total value of the company.
So it's just starting out. It's a baby company.
It's early days.
Early days. Of
so if you believe that silver and gold were the place to be,
right?
That we were going to have a bull market in silver and gold, which we've had mainly a sideways market. So, and it's been difficult. Okay, these guys have some big shareholders. Okay, so they have the ability to raise money. I'm not concerned at all about that.
Okay,
and they're probably operating like the money's near and dear to them. They're throwing nickels around like they're manhole covers.
Well, I know this is about pot, and there's some mining on this program.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I hear these stories. These guys that promote silver on the radio, these guys that buy time, these guys. What I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I hear these guys talking about, it's never been a better time to be in the silver market.
Yeah, they're selling you silver above market value.
Well, why would anyone buy it?
What did P.T. Barnum say?
There's a sucker buying silver born every day.
Look,
all right.
Look, at the end of the day, you'd be amazed what people do. I mean, look,
I am.
There's all kinds of bubbles, and
as you were, we've talked about this, and I know everyone, knows this, that people buy on emotion. Markets move on emotion, sometimes more than fundamentals. I understand. Right? You were saying in the first segment there are opportunities, even when the market starts to cool off. There always are opportunities. You just have to know where to look for them. You have to have a friend like Ed.
You have to, you really, John Templeton. You've heard of John Templeton, famous Sir John Templeton.
The Templeton Fund.
The guy was a genius.
Am I even close? Okay.
He said you have to buy to the sounds of cannons and sell to the sounds of trumpets. So if the industry that you're investing in and everything's rosy and new highs are being set and everybody's slap each other back, maybe you should exit that party. Maybe you should say, you know what, the punch bowl is about to be emptied, and move out.
So buy the sounds of trumpets.
No, buy the sounds of cannons.
Cannons.
Sell to the sounds of trumpets.
Ah, I see. So when people are in a celebratory mood, you say, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm done.
You know, and when everybody's depressed and crapping on everything and this is shit, like the resource market has been tough. It's hard to raise money.
Yeah.
You know, I can show you, and we'll get to that. We'll talk about some of the value proposition here. You could argue that resource stocks have never been cheaper. Junior resource stocks have never been cheaper.
I could argue if I understood anything.
Well, you will understand. You're going to learn.
We're going to learn.
You're going to become a guru.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? All right, let's coming up, the CEO of Cannex Capital will be joining us via Skype. Looking forward to that. Oh, so that's coming up. That's not happening now, Howard.
That's not.
Oh, that's something in the future. Pull up a chart. Boys in the. Well, so
I'm going to put up North 44 right now. Right now.
We're going to look at
your very eyes, and here it comes.
48 North.
Okay. There we go. So we had the big run up. Here we got to get the magic pen out.
Get the pen out.
And come on, kick in, baby. Okay, so look, we had the big move, and we talked about this. Ben mentioned it, from about 80 cents, 60 cents. Oh my God, 60 cents in here, breaking out, and then the big. See that big candle there?
Yes, sir.
Now that usually, if it's down below at a low point, that's usually a good entry point, and if it's at a high, that means there's lots of volatility. Look at the range. That's like a 30-cent range on a stock that's trading at $1.10, $1.20.
So getting back to your first circle on that chart, though, the day before that green candle, that red candle showed a little bit of a dip.
Yeah.
What told anybody, or, you know, I guess you have to like the company. I met Alison yesterday. Yeah. She seems to know what she's doing. But so on that day where the little red candle was,
Really, you could draw this base here.
Right.
And it's easy to do it in retrospect, okay?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's easy to look back and go,
but I mean, look.
If you bought it on the day after the last red candle, you had a good little run there.
If you bought it in here, you in a very short period of time, you had a run, and now you say to yourself, why did this thing go up to $1.40 and then sell off to $1.20? And we're getting red candles subsequent to that day.
Okay.
And we're getting the markets looking a little toppy, and we had a major spike in volume. You see that? We talked about that yesterday. I'm just saying, if you like this story, and it's a great story, you may want to maybe wait a week or so before you step in. Because maybe it's a little overbought, oversold.
So is that what happens? People start to notice it on that run up there on the just past the little red candle. It starts to pick up some momentum. People start noticing it, and then the volume goes up, as you said.
People jump in because they're getting greedy. Right? This is all about fear and greed, right?
Right.
This short-term stuff. And great company, execution.
Well, that's why I wanted to ask you, too, like, in the world of pot investing, it's got to be the same as any other investing in terms of the company's fundamentals. If you like, you know, we talked to Alison, as I said yesterday, if you like her, you like their plan, isn't that what people are,
but you should also look at the timing of it and say, why would you run in after an exponential move?
I don't know, Ed. I don't like it when we argue. I don't know. Ed's getting very worked up. I don't know. I got nothing.
You know what? I'm packing. I'm packing.
You're packing what, Ed? What are you packing? Heat?
Anyway, God just spoke to me, and could you speak to me again?
Oh, we got our guy. All right. Well, I heard it. The CEO of Cannex Capital is joining us now. Cannex Capital Holdings Inc. is a Vancouver-based company providing real estate, management, financial, branding, and IP support to its licensed cannabis business operators domestically and internationally. Cannex is focused on premium indoor cultivation, extraction, manufacturing, and branding of edible and derivative products, as well as retail operations. Cannex Capital Holdings Inc. is listed on the CSE and trades under the ticker symbol CNNX. My name's Howard Glassman from the Humble and Fred Show. Thanks for joining us. How are you today, sir?
Hi, Howard. I'm very well. Nice to meet you.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I mean, there's lots of stuff going on with your company, a lot of things that we've wanted to talk to you about, but it turns out that one of the big stories about Cannex, and a lot of the Midas Letter faithful are hoping we would ask you this question. I know you know the question coming up. What's going on with the trading of Cannex?
So I think what you're probably referring to is the trading halt of Cannex.
Yes, sir.
It was all halted on Friday. This is a result of our what is being defined by the CSE as a transformational transaction with Forefront Holdings, whereby we have signed definitive agreements to acquire that company. And as per standard CSE policy, there is a halt in the stock until all of the documentation is being submitted and reviewed. I would love to be back to trading as quickly as possible, but unfortunately we need to abide by the CSE regulations here.
Okay, well that was the number one question we got when people heard that you were coming up on the show. Now let's get to something that just happened recently on March 1st. You released the information that you guys have signed a definitive agreement with Forefront Holdings, whereby the former security holders of Cannex and Forefront will become security holders in the combined company. So tell us, who are Forefront and why are you guys joining forces?
Yeah, this is really a perfect match, as we call it. So Cannex, as you know, is a publicly traded company. We are the dominant operator in Washington State, and Forefront Holdings have operations in Maryland, Massachusetts, Illinois, and Pennsylvania, and as of last week now in Arizona. Their plan was to always access the public capital markets, and they were contemplating a number of ways of doing this in 2019, one of which was to do their own liquidity offering, an RTO or an IPO. And when we started talking to them last summer, we realized that the best way for them to get their own public listing and the most complementary transaction for the benefit of both their shareholders and our shareholders would be for us to acquire them. And the reason for that is that we are very, very good at the cultivation and processing end of the value chain. They are absolutely the best at the retail end and the policy side and the applying for licenses end of things. And so really by bringing our companies together, we have really created kind of overnight, if you will, a very, very strong multi-state operator that is now in 6 states. So we see this as a long-term play for everybody, a focus on operations, bringing our complementary skill sets to bear. We really think this is really a match made in heaven, as we call it.
Well, you know what? I'm glad to hear you say that, because Anthony, my follow-up is going to be, how does this help Cannex? But you've outlined some of the ways it's going to help you guys. I'm just reading some background material, and again, excuse my ignorance. It says Cannex and Forefront are arm's length parties. Explain that to me, and maybe articulate some more about how this is going to help your company.
Yeah, so what that really means is that there's no common shareholdings between the two companies. This is just two companies. You know, essentially it's a merger, but because they're slightly larger than us, this is what is referred to as a transformational or a significant transaction, because we are acquiring them by issuing more shares than we currently have outstanding. So they are going to end up being the larger piece of the pie, if you will. But how it benefits our shareholders is that we now have immediate access to opportunities in 5 new states. And the opportunity for us is to take our cultivation expertise and our processing expertise that is already the best in Washington and instantly plug it into Forefront's portfolio of licenses in now 5 other states. So for example, Forefront have 2 dispensaries in Massachusetts. They also have a cultivation and a processing license and an existing facility. But we already have our operational team from Washington who are literally in Massachusetts as we speak, who are focused on getting the cultivation and processing opportunity and operation in Massachusetts up to the same level of efficiency as we have in Washington. And what we do in Washington is really quite unique and quite unheard of, really, if you look at the metrics compared to other companies. We have yields of over 450 grams a square foot. We are processing large amounts of biomass on a daily basis. We have 7 of the top 10 edibles brands in Washington, the number 1 and the number 2 flower brands in the state. So we really have some very, very strong operational core competencies that we can instantly now plug into these other states that Forefront brings to the transaction. And they, in turn, are able to deliver us opportunities for retail distribution because they have dispensaries in all of the states that we already mentioned. Unfortunately, in Washington, you're not allowed to be vertically integrated, so we don't have direct access to our own dispensaries. We're a wholesale business. But in Massachusetts, Illinois, Maryland, Arizona, all the states I've already mentioned, we are going to be a pure vertically integrated, operationally focused company, and that's going to be very good for everybody.
It sounds amazing. Anthony Dutton, you know, of course, the wonder wizard that is Ed. Ed, you have a question for
Anthony, how you doing?
I'm very well.
Once this merger, if you will, goes through, and you do start to trade again, how's your treasury going to look? Are you going to have a big chunk of cash there to work with?
Well, we already have a large amount of cash. We got $30-odd million in the treasury. We are a profitable company from our operating base in Washington. And as you probably know, Ed, you know, we went public last year with a financing of $48 million. There were a bunch of warrants at $1.50. Those are now all in the money. So we think that with this continued increase in our share price, you know, those warrants will be exercised. As you also know, we were very, very fortunate to get Gotham Green as a large shareholder in late 2018. They invested $32 million into Cannex. You know, they're a fantastic partner, if you will, the force behind Kronos and Ianthus and others. And they also have a number of warrants as a part of that injection of capital. So we think for the time being, we're going to be very well capitalized. Obviously, growing companies always need access to capital, and that's why, you know, I think Forefront wanted to become a public company. But for the time being, our balance sheet is very strong.
Very good.
Yeah, Anthony Dutton, the CEO of Cannex Capital Holdings. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll be watching it. And good luck and all the best to you, sir.
Real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you.
Very insightful.
Real pleasure, he
Take
said.
care.
Yeah. Well, that worked out well.
I got the chart up here. If you want to put,
I would like to see the chart, and we're just minutes away from the close.
So here we go.
There's going to be a lot of chart activity going on.
6-month chart, and again, look, if you would have just drawn a line here. Wait a minute. No, I'm not going to do that.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it. But look. You could see that there is a base there, right? You could see there's a base, even though it's pretty. But then it broke. The base broke, and look at the volumes, and then look at this, and look at this.
You know what this looks very much like? It looks like very similar to the chart for 48 North.
Well, you know what? They're doing something right. They're attracting investors. They're looks like they're merging, but not as equals. But they have synergies. And so you say, okay, we've got some good things. You've got some good things. You want to go public. We're already public. We got a bunch of cash. You're in 6 states. We're in 1 state.
What I wanted to ask
here's a marriage. Marriage made in heaven.
That's a Canadian company we're talking to.
Well, it's listed in Canada.
Listed in Canada, but it's an American company.
These are listed in Canada.
Yeah, and so what is the point of that? Is it to
because we're legal here. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
But we're because Canada's all legal.
Right.
The U.S. isn't. The U.S. isn't federally legal.
So they're legal in what is it, 18 states or something? Some version
you know what?
of that?
So, certainly we can find that out, but. Yeah, and a lot of it's to do with the medical aspect as opposed to the recreational aspect.
What I was getting at, though, so for an American company to be listed in Canada, it's to have a hold here to do...
Easier to raise money here.
Ah, I see.
It's about the raising of the capital.
That's what it is. And whether it's 18 states or 11 states, the fact is, and what I wanted to get to with you, I know we're talking Canadian stock, but do you look at any American pot stocks?
Well, yeah, there's a few of them. Like Tilray is a big one.
Okay.
Big market cap. It came out at around $20 and shot up to $300.
Oh, come on, Ed.
I'll show. You want me to show you this?
No, I don't want, because every time you show me a chart, I think, well, maybe I should have been investing.
And it went in one day, it went from like, I don't know, $130, $40 to $300 and back to $150. And that was the top. And that'll probably be the top ad infinitum.
The thing is, I've been, if you listen to any satellite radio, one of their sponsors you hear is a company called MedMen. Have you ever heard of that company?
Yeah.
And I was listening the other day thinking, here's a big American company, and when at some point there's going to be legalization all over the States.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a huge, big run for people?
You got to look at the valuation as it sits today. You got to take the number of shares that are out there and look at what the value is and what the revenues are. And you have to sort of compare. Some of these smaller ones are sort of hidden gems where people can say, "Hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. Why is this stock trading?" We saw it with Century 21. We saw it with North 44. Here's another one, right? These are smaller companies, but hey, sorry?
No, we're just getting word. I'm going to ask him, like, which CEO sold 7 million of his stock?
I think that was the guy from.
Was it Anthony?
Was it Tilray? No, it wasn't. Anthony.
Tilray.
Yeah, Tilray. That's a big U.S. one.
Because they're telling. It was. So he had 50. Well, go ahead, Connor. Say that again. Ask Ed about it. Yeah. But remind me of the CEO, though. Was it... I
think it was Tilray.
Oh, okay. So Tilray's CEO had $50 million worth of stock. He sold 7 off. Is that a bad sign to shareholders? Is that something that shareholders
Well, you know what? $7 million is a lot of money, but compared to 50, it's not that big. And he probably, look, for his own personal sanity, does he want to have that much money in one thing? Although... the stock went public at around $17, and if it's Tilray, it's still trading around $76.
But that doesn't make a shareholder nervous. Is that something?
Well, if he sold everything, it'd make him nervous. But he still owns.
He still owns $43 million worth.
Exactly.
All right. As I said, coming up, we're going to talk to Alison North will be sitting in the chair and interviewing the CEO of DNA Genetics. That's still to come. Also still to come, Ed's going to break down what's happening when the market closes here in the next couple of minutes. And yeah, we were talking. What's happening now? There's just something. I just thought there was something. There was just something on the screen. I'm
activity.
Like, I have no idea what that was.
I think the Martians have landed.
Edward?
Howard?
we finally have come to the point.
There's two words here. There's the how and the Ed.
We finally come to the point where I'm like, I just have run out of stuff to ask Ed.
Okay.
Here's the thing, though. As I said, I listened to a lot of...
Okay, go ahead.
I will. And when I stop this, you go.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of satellite radio, and I hear these advertisements, and you see that the revolution is going to come to the American market, and I think to myself, should Canadians be looking at that? What's your thoughts about investing in general in America?
Well, America is the great capitalist world, isn't it? Like,
in your experience, did you do a lot of investing?
You know what? I hate to say this, but I've made so many mistakes that I only feel that I'm capable. I'm qualified to talk about some of these things because I know what not to do. I'm almost experienced by.
But isn't that the best teacher? I mean, don't we all learn from our past mistakes?
Well, we should.
We should.
We should.
But so when it comes to pot, because I was kind of thinking this company or that company, maybe I would take a little flyer on some American weed.
Yeah.
But not if you say not to.
Yeah, let's throw up the chart of Tilray here.
Yeah, let's have a look at it.
We'll throw up the chart. So look, to my point here, it's 4 p.m., market's closed.
As soon as we finish with Tilray, we'll go to the markets today.
Okay, so look, this is what I told you. Like, look at this candle here.
Yes.
That's about $150 range from here to here. Okay, and then it tried again, and look at this. It's losing steam every time it tries to rally. This is Tilray. Look at this. And now you could say we got a base here, right?
Right.
And if this base, whichever way, like for instance, if you could, and maybe you can, if it rolls over and starts to go down, I think that would be bad. If it breaks out to the upside, that would be good. So you just have to sit and wait. There's no point in trying to guess what it's going to do.
No.
Wait for the move.
That's what Ed says. There's no point in trying to guess. But let's have a look. Now that it's 4 o'clock, the markets are closed. Let's have a look and see how the stocks you've been following.
Let's look at the S&P.
Let's look at the S&P here.
Here we go.
Let's have a look.
Well, it's about as low as it's been now in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 12, 13 days. The S&P is starting to look a little toppy. Like we saw that earlier. And I think I want to point out here, and viewers that are, these Bollinger Bands show you a moving average. Look, this thing, which was way oversold, got over this moving average line, and it's been over this moving average line now. See that moving average line?
Yeah, man.
That goes back to almost the first week of January. Mm-hmm. So we've been above a moving average, strong, going in the right way, but we're having trouble here. There's your resistance there on this side, and now we're going over. And look, I've been saying for a while, be cautious here. We've had an unbelievable move, and the economic clouds seem to be gathering. Mm-hmm. And we talked with Ben about it. So the market was down 18 S&P points. Now I'd be taking some money off the table here.
Now I asked you this when we were talking about the S&P from yesterday. When you're looking at that, can you go in and look at specifics like sectors? Could you look at pot as a sector?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that's interesting, at least it interests me, to see how this sector performs versus the S&P. Because and yesterday I had this story from my buddy Lou that actually pot was basically driving the S&P yesterday.
Well, the Toronto market was up yesterday.
Yeah.
So when you say the pot industry, it's going to be more Canadian, not so much the S&P.
Right.
But it was up yesterday, and the
TSX was up yesterday because of Canadian pot stocks. That's right.
And so look, it was up, and I thought there was a bit of a divergence. Mm-hmm. We talked about that. Today, though, the S&P is getting hit a little harder, and the pot stocks, most of them that I see going across here, are down. Like I'm looking at, Canopy Growth. I'm looking at Aurora. I'm looking at Afria. They're all down. Not necessarily a lot, mm-hmm. but maybe that's how it starts, eh? And then you think, well, maybe if it goes back to here, I'll sell. But it doesn't go back to there. So then the next day you say, shit, I should have sold yesterday.
Right.
And then you say, well, I'll wait. And the more you wait, the more panic starts to look.
Is that the Nortel lesson? When you think it just can't go down anymore, it keeps on going down.
I lived through that, and I know a lot of people.
Talking about?
Oh, listen.
There were people that thought it when it was at $50. Nortel people said, "Oh, it can never go any lower," and it went to $5. How do you know when that?
Chaos they never made money. They never made a cent, and at one point it was valued at about 32% of the entire stock exchange in Canada.
Wow.
One company was 32% of the whole thing, capped at almost $400 billion. In other words, they were saying Nortel, and it was fiber optics, it was this, it was that, and if you had Bell shares, you were gifted Nortel shares. Like your parents probably had some Bell shares. That's how they put you through school.
Sure. So grade 12. They put me through grade 12. But I listen. I brought up Nortel. I'm not saying it's chaos, but you're looking at I guess you just never know when it's time to go.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. In March of 2000, the Y2K problem was out there. And the Y2K, everybody was talking about it. Electricity wasn't going to work. Mm-hmm. Nothing was going to work. And it was
they were going to shut the computers down. Where do you get porn?
Do you know what? In March 2000, a technical guy got on CNBC and said, "Folks, take a good look, because we're seeing something that you never see." It was the S&P, the NASDAQ, was 3 standard deviations above a moving average, which means that's almost rarer than a 100-year flood.
Wow. And
so that's so rare, I said, you know what? For 3 years, I did nothing but short stocks. And it was the right strategy.
Wow.
Like, this stuff never goes one way. I don't care. Unless you get taken out
No, I understand.
By takeover.
But 2 days in a row now, you've been talking about a nervousness around, the market had rose. It's gotten to a spot, and you're a little nervous that these little red candles are going to continue.
We've moved sideways for 10 to 12, 13 days on the S&P. We've gone nowhere, and yet the news still remains kind of, So.
Yesterday, I got a chance to sit down with Alison North of 48 North. Today, she's sitting down in this chair and will be interviewing the CEO of DNA Genetics.
Hi, welcome. Today, I'm very excited to introduce my very first guest, Don from DNA Genetics. Don is an icon in this industry, so it is an honor to have you here. And Don is actually a friend, so welcome to the show, Don.
Thanks for having me.
I wanted to ask you something, and this is really fascinating to me. The industry is finally waking up to the idea that genetics matter and that good genetics are important. So maybe you can talk a bit about why good genetics are important to the industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, we started way back in early 2000s just trying to find things that we liked, things that weren't just in clone form. At the time, you didn't have a lot of options to get different varieties and things, so you'd save seeds from family members or from friends and different people throughout the years, and you'd save them and you'd kind of do your own little selections. But the point moving forward, I think, is we need solid genetics to be able to do breeding projects, to be able to continue to get new strains, new genetics, new different varieties for the market. So for us, it was just, my partner Aaron and I, just the desire to make something better that we liked. So we were always kind of like in competition with each other to kind of impress the other person on, the kind of different varieties that we would make. So that was just kind of the labor of love. It wasn't out of a plan of any sort, just to kind of
make it happen.
I mean, it was survival.
For yourselves, in a way.
Survival, yeah.
But what is, I know this is a simple question, but what is a good genetic? Is there such thing as a good genetic and a bad genetic? I mean, what is that?
I mean, okay, so there's genetics that are stable genetics. So in my opinion, a good genetic is anything you like, right? So if you like something and you have a good experience with it, then that's good for you, great. But as a breeder and as a seed maker and geneticist, I think what's good is something that's stable, something that if I put it in a package and you buy the package, you're going to actually get what's on the package out of the seeds.
Right.
And unfortunately, throughout the years, for many, many years, 20 years plus, you would never know what you would get. You buy a pack of seeds in Amsterdam and you would smuggle them wherever you were going back home and grow them. 6 months later, you'd realize it wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Right.
So for us, it was more about just the passion and the love of the plant and wanting to make sure that we didn't start the foundation of what somebody was doing as far as they're growing a plant. They're not going to their dealer and buying it. They're actually growing it. So we didn't want to base that on a lie. And unfortunately for us in the beginning, we had a lot of bad experiences with different genetics that we would grow, and you'd have all these great ideas of what's going to happen, and it just wasn't like that. So it was really simple for us just to kind of hone in on quality, variety, terpene profile, something that Aaron and I both enjoyed, something that we liked. And yeah, it's kind of like writing music. I kind of compare it to that a lot, where if you're a good musician, you don't really care what the public thinks or if your friends like the song. You just finish the song and then you play it. And if everybody else likes it, then great. And if they don't, it's still on the record. We all have those songs that we fast forward. So,
but let me ask you a question. So at 48 North, we are growing the Kosher Kush, which is one of your more infamous strains. Yep. And I actually just listed that in an article as one of my favorite strains to use with my non-kosher meal. People seem to find that amusing. But I don't know that these genetics came from DNA. So what is that about?
Well, I mean, globally, you've been able to access seeds for many years. So the cannabis seed market is come out of Holland and Spain. And so forever, you've been able to order seeds and get seeds. So probably what you're smoking is somebody who ordered the seeds from whatever and did his own selection, and then it ended up at 48 North.
But getting it from DNA, or as you move forward, and we're going to talk about that with your company, this is, the phenotyping that you've done, the quality that you've put into it, the assurances that you are getting what it says it is. I mean, this is, I think, part of what you're saying, which is, and anyone can sell you anything.
Right.
How do you really know? And it goes back to who you're purchasing it from, who is the genetics company.
Right. So now what we're doing is the forward-looking plan for DNA is we're licensing our brand and our genetics in all these different markets. So we have a deal with Canopy that we've had for a few years where we've licensed them genetics that they've been selling.
And you help them as well with what they're growing, right?
Absolutely. So for the first 2 years, we consulted with them, helped them with best practices, helped them get their systems a little bit dialed in, and kind of. The most important thing for us is make sure that whoever we're doing business with is going to produce a product that we're going to want to consume.
To put your name on it.
Put our name on it.
To put your name on it is
so
key.
Anybody can just grow a plant, and in the end, it's not something that you want to put your name on. What's the point? So, for example, as we were tweaking and getting Canopy, or at the time it was just called Tweed, it wasn't even Canopy then, right? So,
and that's the interesting thing. Like, they came to you early on. I mean,
so
like that
I give
just
them tons
shows,
of credit because they're forward thinking enough to be like, okay, we have a great business model. We've raised a lot of money. We know how to do business, but the business that we're doing, we need to find a little bit of authenticity. So when they sought us out and actually, spent the money and the time to hire us as consultants, we imported seeds to their facilities. We did selections on our own genetics, and then we finally get to the product that you're now seeing in the LPs now, or you're seeing for the public, and even. To take it one step further, is there was a whole year that went by that we wouldn't even put our name on the product.
Right.
So we were adjusting and tweaking and kind of getting things to the point where it was finally at the point where Aaron and I were willing to put our name on it.
Well, and that's the thing. So it's that DNA stamp of approval. That's what you're going for, is to say we're going to give our approval to those products that meet our standard.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be. I mean, we've spent our whole DNA stands for Don and Aaron. I mean, you know that. I've known you for years. So at the end of the day, for us, it's,
and Aaron, we have to we're missing one half of the duo. Aaron, wherever you are.
He's probably in Barcelona pretty soon, holding up the things over there. But definitely, it comes down to quality. Like, that's the most important thing for us, bar anything else. And so, if the quality is good, then you can choose to like pizza if you like, or hamburgers, or salad. But if it's the quality that you like, then it really doesn't matter afterwards, as long as you have your quality. So,
well, let's talk about the business, because you have recently hired a CEO, Charles Phillips, with a very big pedigree. So, what is the plan for DNA moving forward? Like, what's that all about?
Well, we're organizing. DNA is much bigger than Don and Aaron at this point.
Right.
I mean, it's.
How could it be bigger than Don and Aaron?
The root is still Don and Aaron, right? So we're still at the root. We're the root of the fruit, but to be honest, we're much bigger than that now. And so we hired a CEO, Charles Phillips. He's Stanford, Harvard graduate. He has a great pedigree. He's been in the industry already in the past. And working with us really closely just to kind of optimize our whole business, and get us ready for this next step.
Because you guys have one of the biggest brands, I would say, and most authentic brands in the industry, and we see obviously all these companies emerging as legalizations coming forward, and you must be like, what is going on here? Yeah. So how do you think really you built that? Like, what is the secret to your success of building that brand?
I think staying authentic, staying true, staying honest, keeping the love for the plant being the priority, never making decisions for money. We make decisions based on people, based on good ideas. We're not in it for the money, or we would have been out a long time ago, and we would have been happy with already doing better than our parents did, let's say. But at this point, it's not about that. It's about organizing ourselves to be ready for the next step, really feeling like we have a brand that is, it's a world-renowned brand already, and most of these companies now that are in the industry, they're trying to figure out. They have a great business model, but now they're trying to figure out how to brand themselves.
Right.
Or they have, great production facility, but they don't have distribution. There's all these different keys that they don't have. The one thing that we have is we have the brand, and so now we just have to
and the knowledge and the experience. So so somebody out there in a certain state that has gotten the licensing and been able to raise the money, but now it's kind of like, what do we do? How do people know us? How do we grow well?
Right.
Then you can kind of come in there and
that's why we brought in Charles, and we brought in our whole team, and we have a whole team now of biz dev and inside counsel. We have CO. We have all these.
How is it working to be
crazy.
in this world?
It's like not even what I really even wanting to deal with.
Chat about, how do you run a company like this, and it's different than the old days. No.
Look, it's crazy, and here's the deal. Right now, we're in a transitional phase.
Right.
It's the very beginning. We're not even in the first inning. But I'm 43 years old, and I feel like a dinosaur. I've been in the industry forever. So right now, I think the balance is, riding that line between corporate and the street, and making sure that you're organized enough so you have a corporate business that can sustain itself in a real business structure as the walls come down and it becomes federally legal everywhere. I look at the map and I see a legal map everywhere. So you have to have your business organized. At the same time, you have to be connected to the street. You have to be authentic. You have to still have the people, the connoisseurs, the people that actually are the industry, the real industry, the black market, the real people that are actually pushing the industry. They still have to love you as well and understand that you're not so far away from them.
Do they think you've gone corporate? Like, are you getting that kind of feedback?
There's all kinds of different mixed feedback. I mean, when we signed with Tweed years ago, we took tons of licks for this because people don't understand. But listen, we know we're doing the right thing. We know that our intentions are good. We know we're not making decisions based on money or somehow polluting the plant. We're making decisions. I have children. I have small children. Aaron has small children. We want this plant to be free, and we want this industry to be completely open for the next generation, and we have to be organized for that. So do I love the whole corporate side of it? Do I love, having board meetings and all these crazy compliance things? No, I actually dislike it a lot, but I understand that that's what you need to bridge the gap between being in the street and not being legal and actually having a real business that's, potentially a Fortune 500 company.
Because you guys, for example, I know just from our own conversations, like, let's just take the apparel. Like, this is not something you've ever focused on, yet DNA will just organically sell a ton of apparel. Like, people love and are committed to you and Don, the DNA brand. So these are all things that you can now in this market say, okay, let's pull these together. Like, are you excited for that?
I'm super excited. I mean, the thing that's great about this industry is it crosses over everything. The blue collar worker, the guy that just wants to go out and be a sports person, somebody who wants to, be totally motivated and be a lawyer or a teacher. I mean, it crosses over everything. So am I excited? I'm totally excited because finally we're not running from, some authority or something. We're actually running in a different kind of race. We're running, because we're trying to mobilize ourselves enough to be organized to be ready for this next step.
Last question. Did you ever think this day would come? Like, did you ever think, look back,
that Alison Gordon would be interviewing me on Midas Letter? No way. I never thought that in a million years.
Did you ever, think back to when you were 20, you're in Amsterdam, did you ever imagine that it would just go legal in this way?
I mean, here's the thing. I always thought eventually it would be legal, yes. Did I ever, believing something and wanting something or having a dream for something and actually believing it would happen are two different things, right? So I'm very surprised at where we're at right now. If you had to pick one place on the map that would be, let's say, the center focal point of the cannabis industry in the world, I wouldn't have picked Toronto. Right, that's for sure. 10 years ago. So
sorry, California boy.
Right. So there's lots of things that are surprising a lot of people in this industry, but I just think if you have a good, honest business and you're doing something authentic, then the people resonate with that. And that's how I think we can, sell a bunch of clothing or go into a different industry and do this TV show and actually
Yes, they have an amazing show called Pimp My Grow, and definitely check that out. Mm-hmm. So, okay, last thing, one word or one line. What year do you think will the U.S. reschedule the drug and go full-on federally legal?
What year? 2020.
2020. You heard it from Don. Don, love you. Thank you for joining us today. We were with Don from DNA Genetics, the OG, true blue, authentic man himself. Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Al.
That's interesting. I love that she asked the last question about when the drug would be rescheduled and become legal in the States. He says 2020. Seems a little early to me. But you know, it's inevitable. And that's one of the reasons I'm sort of interested, started paying more attention to some of these U.S. companies, is because, you know, at some point, all those dominoes will fall. And I wonder, Ed, if Canadian investors who may feel they missed out the first time around, you know, didn't get on Canopy, maybe it didn't get on Aurora, didn't really pay attention to it. You think investors will start to pay attention more now, knowing what we just saw happen since legalization in Canada?
Sure. Yeah, I do. I do. You know, I never believed that the valuations that occurred would have occurred. If you had asked me 2 years ago, and I had unbelievable opportunities to invest in so many of these things at an early stage.
Did you really?
I left literally millions on the table.
Now,
but you know what? I also know that I'm going to exit this planet at some point with nothing.
Don't say that, Ed.
I know.
Come on.
That's a fact.
I only just met you. I don't want to lose you.
I know, but I think that they've printed so much money. Now this is another. They've printed so much money that everybody's so interested in money that we've lost the ability to smell the roses to some degree.
Okay. Well, gratitude aside.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that I've been looking at, some of the questions and some of the things that are being said on the Midas Letter, the YouTube channel, and I find it fascinating. And I really do mean this when I say that I'm learning so much, and the people that are watching this seem very knowledgeable. There's been some questions there. There are terms, and I'll be honest with you. I don't know what a warrant is. I know that somebody was talking about that, and I want maybe you to explain it.
Yeah, well, if you recall our recent interview with Anthony Dutton,
yes,
he mentioned the fact that they had some warrants that were outstanding that were in the money. Okay, so a warrant is like an option. Warrants issued by the company were issued when the company first raised money. They gave you a share and maybe a half a warrant or a warrant to buy another share. Okay, so they gave you a share,
okay,
which trades. The warrants don't necessarily trade, but if the stock goes up, you have a call on another share or a half a share at a predetermined price for a predetermined period of time.
So companies do this to get people excited about their stock?
Yeah, they're sweeteners. They sweeten the deal.
They're to incentivize people.
People to say, hey, we're not only going to sell you a share, we're going to give you a half a warrant as a sweetener, which to the perspective of the company,
sure,
is great, because if the stock goes up, they've already got another round of financing.
Through the warrants.
Through the warrants. The warrants get exercised, money goes into the till. And when the warrants are in the money, that means that, yeah, they can exercise those warrants anytime. In fact, some companies have clauses where if the stock gets to a certain price, they can force conversion.
So what does that mean? It means it forces you to convert your warrants into regular stock?
Yes, that's exactly what it means.
Is it?
And the money goes into the till and you get your shares.
Now, sometimes when you get stocks, or you get to buy a company stocks, and you have to, they vest at a certain point. Are warrants like that, or are they automatic?
Warrants usually, I say usually, but there's different. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know, Ed, but if listen, we need a safe word.
Terms.
We need a safe word if you're going to have a stroke here, because I don't have first aid.
Okay.
Somebody, what's Ed's safe word?
You're going to die.
No, I'm dying.
So like, for instance, I just had some warrants in a gold company that I bought.
Oh, did you?
2 years ago.
Okay.
And they were out of the money. So the stock was at 8 cents. My warrants were good at 12 cents.
Meaning you could get that when
I could buy shares at 12 cents. Yeah. So the stock's at 8 cents. I'm yawning, right?
Right.
I'm yawning until they start saying, hey, looks like there's been some drilling and there's been some activity. So this company, Walker River Resources, okay, moved like a rocket ship from about 8 cents. It hit a high of, I think, I'm going to say 27, 28, but it could have been 30.
30 cents?
Yeah.
And you had warrants at 12 cents?
Right. So all of a sudden, my warrants, which were worthless, became valuable.
I see.
And every time they go up a penny above 12, so if you have 100,000 warrants and the stock goes from 12 to 13, your warrants are worth $1,000. If the stock goes to 14, they're worth $2,000. If the stock goes to 20, they're worth $8,000. Right?
Look at you.
No, look at me. So I got a bit lucky. I forgot I had them. They were sitting in a
because when they were at 8 cents, you're like, screw this.
Yeah, I mean, there's this.
F this warrant.
These warrants.
These warrants suck.
Duh, they're going to die. My broker called me and said, hey, Ed, we got to start exercising the warrants. So I didn't sell them all immediately. I sold some stock at 14.5, 17, 18. I sold some at 21. You know where the stock is right now?
I have no idea.
12 cents again.
That a boy.
So you can't wait for more, because more may not come.
The more day. Well, here's the thing. We've been talking during Alison's interview about, we spent a lot of time today talking about where the market has been moving to, how it might be cooling off, and I wanted to ask you, how do you make money in a market like this?
Well, look, you got to I've been following things for, believe it or not, I
do believe it.
I've been charting gold, sort of. Casually and sometimes very seriously since about 1978. Well, that's about 40 years. So I've been looking at gold, and I don't know why gold, because I saw, back then, gold had an unbelievable move.
Sure.
If you recall, gold went from about $100 to $1,000 in about 5 years, maybe 5-6 years, with the biggest move occurring in the last part of 78, 79.
Okay.
Okay. So ever since I saw that, I've been hooked. And it maybe wrongly so, because gold doesn't move all the time.
Right, you've been hooked to a fault. Because it did come back down. In the mid-90s there, it was trading...
Mid to late 90s.
It was nothing.
It was horrendous. It was terrible.
Then it went to 300, and then it went to 1,300.
Well, it went to 1,900.
Then it went to 1,900.
In 2011, it hit 1,900.
Now, what did Ed do with that?
I made some money.
You
know what? I made some money, but look, when it goes from 300 to 600 and 900, you think the move's over.
Yeah.
But that's when sometimes things get going. So when you get into a crazy momentum move, you don't know. And so here's a statement. The markets will remain logical longer than you can remain solvent. In other words, if you get out thinking, or if you bet the wrong way,
right,
the markets can even double or triple from there. So be careful when you start. Wait till thing roll over.
Dude, I'm not doing anything unless you tell me to.
Okay, well, look,
you guys were yelling something in my ear. I'm assuming so you want to talk about what's coming up on the show the next couple of days. Why don't we throw that up? Tomorrow, Andrew Grieve is the CEO of Zenabis Global, or Zenabis Global.
Yeah, that's like cannabis with a Zen.
Zenabis, yes. Prad Sekar, or Sekar, I hope I'm getting even close. He's the CEO of CB2 Insights, just listed today, so you Midas Letter peeps are going to want to see that. Barry Fishman is the CEO of Vivo Cannabis. That's coming up on tomorrow's show as well. And that's it? Are you saying that's it? I can tell that's it because the screen, we're back to you and I. That stock had just listed. That's exciting news for people.
Yeah, it's exciting if my earphone stays in the ear. Don't
worry about it, Ed. No one's saying anything worth listening to.
I'm interviewing a mining company tomorrow, and I think that'll be played on Friday.
Okay.
So it's interesting.
Actually, on Friday, a person that I know is going to be in here. We're going to be talking about something called O'Cannabiz. If you're not familiar, these expos and these conventions are fascinating. I don't know if you've ever been to like Lyft or something like that, but you really get a sense of not just what the business is from an investment standpoint, but all the tertiary and secondary, all the offshoots of cannabis. It's amazing. And I'll tell you what, whether it's the company that's going to be making the breathalyzer version or whatever that weed version is, or people that are setting up bricks and mortar, it's a fascinating world. And O'Cannabiz is coming up in Toronto, April, I think late April. We're going to find out. Those people will be in on Friday. As we wind down, I want to thank the many people with accents that run this program. There's Donald, I've been practicing his name, Donald, Connor, there's Simon, of course, Suzanne, and of course Ricky Gerwitz is the producer. Ed, thank you very much for your help today.
There's Donald and there's anecdotal.
Okay.